Spoiler warning, this basically covers the entirety of Season 1, Episode 15 in ReZero, and light novel stuff in Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, so if you haven't seen that or read it, click off. If you had the option to reset your life to a certain point, would you take it? If you said yes to that question, why? Would you fix your mistakes? Would you do things that you couldn't do? Is your life truly ruined to the point of no return? Why? Just because you made some mistakes and regret some things, that shouldn't tempt you to take let's just call it the red pill. There are many animes that feature a character never giving up. Honestly, it is a pretty common theme in shonen anime. So let me just list some animes. Naruto, Attack on Titan, One Piece, Jujutsu Kaisen. Yeah, I mean, there are way more. I'm just naming the most popular ones. Now, these characters never gave up. I mean, Yuji from Jujutsu Kaisen, he literally went through hell and back, and he still carries on, still try to kill Sukuna. That's some dedication right there. But I think the perseverance of characters who reincarnated, or so Korean version, regression, is unmatched. I mean, just think about it. There's no going back after you die. You can't kill yourself. That's just not an option. Anyways, let's first talk about Natsuki Subaru. I'm sure you know him. He is a pretty popular character in a pretty popular show. Anyways, he is the personification of never giving up and perseverance. I mean, he's weak. He doesn't have any special powers. There's nothing special about him. But he does have this pretty neat power called Return by Death, which is pretty self-explanatory. You return to a checkpoint in time when you die, hence the name Return by Death. I know, crazy. Anyways, arguably one of the greatest standalone episodes of all time, Season 1, Episode 15, my bad, I'm like a little special. Anyways, The Outside of Madness. It is the greatest example of perseverance of a fictional character. Starts off with Subaru absolutely traumatized from his past life. Bedridden and in shock, he stares up at the ceiling blankly, thinking about his previous life and his encounter with the witch's cult. By the way, if you don't know what the witch's cult is, it is a cult that worships the 7 witches that represent the 7 deadly sins. After a while, Subaru is taken into a hideout. The Sin Archbishop of Sloth takes him and Rem captive. Oh my gosh, what they do to Rem is absolutely unforgivable. Rem, one of the dearest people in Subaru's life, in ruin, mutilated, mangled. Imagine your significant other being put on death's door in front of you. You can't look away. You are weak. Anything you do will be in vain. The anchor of your life getting brutally mutilated, while there is nothing you can do but sit there and watch, praying that they survive, praying that everything will come to pass, and praying that both of you will get to return to your blissful and peaceful life back home. Yet you know in the back of your mind that things won't be the same. You won't be able to live on knowing that you weren't able to do anything to save your loved one. If I was in that situation, I wouldn't be able to look at myself in the mirror again and be happy with myself. I would probably develop trauma to the point where I wouldn't be able to function as a normal human being. Yet with the remaining life that Rem has, she was able to free Subaru from his chains. But instead of crying over his significant other, over Rem, he picks her up and leaves the cave. He walks miles upon miles to Rosawall's mansion, the place he was staying. In the hard, cold winter, he perseveres, his hands numb, his feet disfigured by the horrors of frostbite. He looks up to see a primordial monster staring in his soul. His head falls off, vision going black. Even after this, Subaru still carries on. He walks out of the shopping district hand in hand with Rem, a passion burning within him to keep going, even if he has to die 100 million times over. Now let's talk about someone who hasn't died 100 million times over. Instead died 1,864 times. Yoo Jung-hyuk, a man who has suffered for thousands of years. Unlike Subaru, who might have spent a week, maybe a couple days, at most a year between his deaths. Now this is accounting for the main story, arc 1 through 8, as I'm recording this. He has only died 1,000 times. However, Yoo Jung-hyuk has probably spent 4 years per regression, meaning the time between his last regression and his next regression is 4 years. If we multiply 4 times 1,865, we get 7,460 years, meaning Yoo Jung-hyuk's mental age is 7,460 years. Now this is a long time. So, every time he has regressed, he had to see his entire party, basically his friends, all of his comrades, get slaughtered. Now, this is the only reason why he regressed so many times, because he lost all his party members, and he couldn't move on to the next scenario. Yeah, he was forced into the scenario. Yeah, he had no choice but to continue. However, he could have always given up. He could have left to another world without a scenario. Good examples are the 73rd Demon Realm, a place that is known to not have a scenario except the revolutionary scenario, which, well, it's not really a scenario. It's not really a main scenario when you think about it. Or the first mirror, which is also shown to not have any scenarios. Well, I mean, it probably did have scenarios at some point, it's just they're beaten. Anyways, he continued to stay on Earth. Even putting all these factors into account, he still decided to stay on Earth. He still decided to fight for Korea. He battled through the scenarios, and he still fought through until the end. Even if mentally he wanted to fall into an eternal sleep and never wake up, he still pushed through. He still put one foot after another and continued on. Now, Yoo Jung-hyuk has probably suffered 1,000 times more than Subaru. He had to see all of his friends die in front of his eyes 2,000 times. When I read Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, I always wondered, how did Yoo Jung-hyuk go through all this? Sure, Subaru did go through some serious stuff. However, seeing your comrades die thousands of times is simply torture. I like comparing these two characters because they're both great examples of perseverance, and you really realize how much thousands of deaths has changed their perspective on life. And human lives aren't as valuable as to them because they can always just reset. Now, this mostly applies to Yoo Jung-hyuk, but I feel like Subaru has, his value of human life, valuing other people, has changed over time due to his ability returned by death. Now, from these two characters alone, we learn a very valuable lesson. Don't give up. I'm sure that sometimes you feel so down in the dumps and you feel like nothing will ever go your way. But trust me, things will look up for you. When you look at these shows and these different manhwas and stuff, you see a common theme. People who never give up. People with the passion to keep going. People, even with trauma enough to kill your average person, still doesn't go down. They get up and keep moving forward. Sometimes it's not about how you fell. It's about how you go up and how you grow from your fall. I know it's a bit corny, but it's true. So let me ask you something. If you had the option to reset your life to a certain point, would you take it?